season, and given that we're in the midst of the lambing season, or I think it might be coming to an end, this is timely. It's written by John Connell, who's a multi-award winning author and film producer and investigative journalist, and I suppose most importantly in this case, a farmer. And in the book, anyhow, he's also written a book called The Cow Book. And that one it was awarded Popular Non-Fiction Book of the Year at the Irish Book Awards. So John most definitely knows what he's talking about, this time turning his attention to sheep. And he joins us now on the line. John, good afternoon to you.
Hello, John. It's great to be talking to you up in Donegal. My apologies for my voice. It's a little bit hoarse. But we'll get through. I've been sucking soothers all morning.
Oh, right. Okay, I'll go very gently with you. How's that? Anyway, this is a book. It's called 12 Sheep because it's 12 ewes that you took through the lambing season, was it?
Yes, it was. So I suppose, John, it started off. The Cow Book was a big success. It was 37 weeks in the bestsellers list, and it brought me all around the world. And it was a great time, but I got a bit burnt out after it, and I got a bit wrecked and tired. And I needed to slow down my life. And I looked to the Cathedral of Nature, as John Clare put it, the English poet. And I had this idea to get 12 sheep and to follow them over a lambing season and deliver their lambs, and to, in a sense, slow down my life. And that's what I did. And in a sense, I suppose, I became a shepherd to these sheep, but in a way I became a shepherd to myself. And for so many people, the book's a #1 bestseller, and for so many people who are reading it, they're saying to me they're learning lessons on how to slow down and be a shepherd to themselves, because we all live such incredibly busy lives nowadays, and sometimes it takes a bit of an act of nature to get back in touch with the common world. And for me, you could say a farmer found the meaning of life in a lambing shed, but the lambing shed can be anywhere.
Absolutely, and different people will find different ways to cope, but you turned to nature and to farming and to looking after sheep. Did you have cattle at that stage, or not?
No, we started. It's a family farm here, as most farms are, and I know in Donegal it's the same. We have a family farm. It's been around 30 odd years. Mum and Dad both came from farming families, but we didn't have any land. So I remember when we got our first 3 cows, and the farm grew as I grew. But about 7 years ago, we got into sheep. We hadn't worked with sheep before. And, sheep are great. As a man said to me, they're great for a quick turnaround for a few euro. You can sell a sheep and make a few bob, and there's always a few. So we've been into sheep 7 years. I didn't own any sheep myself in that period, so I bought 12 Suffolk crosses off Mum and Dad. They were the 12 I got. And now, in fairness, we looked around the Midlands, and not as far as Donegal, but we looked all around the Midlands to find these 12. And then I said, you know what? My mother suggested maybe we'd keep these 12 Suffolk crosses, because of course they'd be dispersed and end up in different parts of the country. So it was kind of nice to keep them on, and we crossed them with a Blue Texel ram, and the lambs were great. Now, I know you have mountain ewes up in Donegal, but I'm sure there's a few Suffolks knocking around the place.
Oh, indeed there is. Yeah, we know a thing or two about sheep up here. Did the whole idea of getting these 12 ewes, taking them, through the lambing season and looking after them, did it work? Did it serve its purpose?
Oh, it did. Now, John, you wouldn't be a rich man with 12 sheep, but I was rich in spirit. And the burnout that I was talking about, once I got the sheep and had my purpose, it totally lifted, and I really kind of got into a great space. And it was around that time I started meditating, and I meditate in the morning every morning before I go out on the farm. And it just sort of slows me down, connects me with. I always liked how the Native Americans talk about the creator spirit, you know? Doesn't say who or what it is, but I'm connected with the bigger picture. And no, the sheep worked. There might, as John McGarren said, it's hard to know sometimes, are the books paying for the cows, or in this case, are the books paying for the sheep, or the sheep paying for the books? But it's been a great process. And you know, I came to sheep thinking, sheep, what do they know? They're silly creatures. But I found them to be really, they're quite brave. They're very maternal. And, you know, they want nothing more. When you deliver a lamb, he wants nothing more than to be alive and to be a lamb. And he's not questioning himself saying, God, now I wish maybe I should have been born an accountant. You know, he's happy to be a lamb. And you know, obviously we went through lambing season here. It was a busy time, I know, and the same in Donegal. People are flat out. But it's sometimes in the middle of the night or a moment at dawn, and you sit down, you might have delivered a lamb, and you say, you know what, this out life isn't too bad. We might be on the front line of nature, but actually there's a great blessing in it too.
But a lot of people who own sheep will probably be going, I don't know if I could appreciate it the way that John is, because, you know, they might have some sheep and they might have a few cattle and they're struggling to make ends meet, and then they're dealing with the weather like we've had since Christmas or before Christmas. Yes. And it's hard to see the wood for the trees sometimes. But I suppose...
Well, you know, I look, John, I do think that too. But then, you know, at the weekend there, the sun came out, and... you realise how beautiful of an island we live on. I love Donegal. I go up to Donegal a lot, and one of my heroes was Brian Friel, who lived up in Greencastle. And you know, I always feel a great affinity with Donegal. And I know the weather can be more extreme because it's on the coast, but it is a good way of life. It is a hard way of life, but you're out there. You're your own boss, and you are taking part in something that's over 10,000 years old. It's a very old profession, and I say it in the book. The first sheep were domesticated in Turkey 10,000 years ago. We've been dancing with this animal for a long time, and you know, I suppose I'm conscious. In the book I talked about farming in other countries, in America and Spain and stuff, and I'm conscious that Ireland is still a good place to be a farmer, because it's family farming, and you can make a living. I know it's hard, but you can make a living out of working on the land. And I know lots of people have a second job. I have a second job, but it is a great way of life. And you know, what we do here, we do it very well. So I think there's a point of pride to be enjoyed. And you know, the good weather is here now, and please God remains, and land dries up. But I love the summertime and meeting people at the shows and seeing a great ram that has been bred that year, and all the pride and breeding and strength that went into it. And, you know, farming people are great people.
So is 12 sheep going to become 24 sheep now? What about the next season?
Well, I have the 12 and I have the lambs. And
how many lambs, by the way?
Sorry?
How many lambs?
Well, that season, I think we had about 18 lambs, something like that. There was a good few singles. But no, it's been, look, sure, I might venture into a few more, you know. I do like them, and it's been good. I have a few cows, I have a few sheep. As a fella said to me, what's next? Is it pigs or horses? So.
I was just going to say, yeah. But it's all about, it's a big part of it about farm animals, but also the land and, you know, and looking after these animals. And I'm sure that there's part of you then when you have to let them go and you know where they're going. That can't be easy.
No, but, you know, I was asked this before, John, and I do always say, I think I use the expression in an interview, moved on, you know, they're moved on. But, you know, the sheep live a shorter life than a cow, of course, but you do feel attached to them, because if you didn't care, you wouldn't get up in the middle of the night or deal with a sick lamb or bottle feed a pet lamb. But I suppose you have to make a living, and you have to say, well, look, I'm doing this so people can eat a meal, or and of course there's wool. The wool products for keeping people warm as well. So it is part of a process, but I think what your job is as a shepherd is to make sure that they have the best possible quality of life. And a lamb in good weather, he'll suck mother's milk, he'll eat grass, might nibble on a few nuts. It's not a bad life. No. And keep them away from predators, of course, but it's not a bad life. And we put in as much care as we can. And I know I've been to sheep sheds and sheep farms all around the country, and I meet people, and they're working hard, particularly this time of year. They're getting to breathe a sigh of relief. Most of the lambing is done, but they know they've put in the work to ensure that they did the best job possible.
Right. As you said earlier, you'll not get rich on 12 sheep, but there's a lot of people listening in, and they might have a lot more sheep, or maybe just a handful like you have. But is there... have you any ambitions now to go bigger? You mentioned there about how there's a lot of farms here in Ireland. One of the great things about farming here in Ireland is a lot of family farms, and we haven't, for one reason or another, there's not as many industrial farms as there would be in other parts of the world. What about you? Have you any ambitions to go big now in the farming?
Look, we have a medium-sized farm here in Longford, and it's a decent size. We're organic. We switched to organic last year. There's a process to get through it, but we had our first sale of organic animals last year, and we're.
If your hands full.
You would never know what land came up, So, but right now it's going fairly good. It's my farm with my family, and I have my cows and my sheep, and of course I'd like to get a few more. We'll see how the book goes.
Right. Okay. Well, it's by all accounts off to a good start. Anyhow, it's out now. 12 sheep, life lessons from a lambing season. John Connell. Thank you very much. The voice held up great, by the way, John.
It did. Thanks, John. Yes, the soothers worked.
Good luck to you.
Thank you very much, John, and hello to everyone in Donegal. Goodbye.